Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is June the 24th, 2026. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day to ya. Hopefully, you humped and didn't get humped. Unless that's what you're into, then by all means, have at it. But as for me, as for mine, it's been good. It's been a solid day. I took the day off, so no work from me. But I was pretty busy. I woke up, I got myself together and went to the gym pretty early. There was actually a decent amount of people there, though. I was able to work out the way I wanted, so that was nice. Still, like pretty much, 30-minute situation. Got in, got out, came home, had a shower, got myself together. Oh, I also had a stretch as well. And I had a little yogurt because, a little hungry, a little peckish. But then I got myself together to head to the doctor's office. So finally got to a doctor's appointment. Essentially, we just did some blood work, got acquainted with my doctor. Definitely realized it was I felt so awkward and I kept like biffing like interactions for some reason, just because it had been so long since I've been to a doctor. They literally asked me like, when was the last time you like your last physician or your last time at the doctor's office? And I was thinking like outside of urgent care, it had not been since I was like in pediatrics, like going to a pediatrician. And I felt like really dumb. But, hey, better late than never. So I, got my blood work in. So hopefully, they'll get back to me on that. And then also I have a physical scheduled. So we're finally getting on that. A bit 5 years later than my initial plan, because I think when I told myself at 30, I'm like, I'm going to get that shit done. I'm going to lock in, I'm going to do that. And I did it. But hey, like once again, better late than never. So I'm hoping, all the test results are good. That being said, I'd still want to see if there's anything wrong with me, what's up with me, all that. So, hopefully that comes back quickly and efficiently. But anyway, post the doctor's office, I went home, reconnoitered for a little bit, and then set out to get my laundry done and the groceries done. Usually I would get that done Thursday, or at least the laundry. But I was like, hey, let's just make the most of today, right? So I set out to do that. Laundry was overall good. I will say I was annoyed because I missed a couple of my gym pieces that I normally wear, and I left them in my gym bag. So I was like, that's an L there. And then at the grocery store, at the old Kroger, I forgot to pick up fruit for the week. So I was really salty when I came home and realized I didn't have any apples or oranges. So I'll probably have to make another run tomorrow, just make a quick stop and pick those things up. Had to swap out the gym outfits, stuff. So, I mean, everything's fine. It's all good. But a couple L's there. But then outside of that, we came home. I, I was feeling really like, I don't want to say heat exhausted, but like it felt like my brain was a little melty and I was tired. And so I, rehydrated a little bit, had a snack, and then I took a nap, which was very restorative. So that was nice. That felt good. Then I got up, set out to do some research, had some stories kind of pegged up to cover, and here we are, ready to yap about said stories. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into the news. Oh. It's definitely starting to feel very summery outside. Which is, good. I'll take it. Granted, it's actually subject to one of our stories today, but we'll wait on that. Ugh. All right. Our first story comes from the BBC. Clean sweep from Mamdani-backed candidates in New York's Democratic primary. U.S. Congressman Dan Goldman has been defeated by a New York primary in a New York primary election, capping a clean sweep for candidates backed by New York's Democratic Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Goldman was beaten by progressive challenger Brad Lander in New York's 10th congressional district in a contest that laid bare the party's divisions over the Israel-Gaza war. Lander has accused Israel of genocide in Gaza. Goldman, a two-term incumbent, was backed by pro-Israel groups. Two other candidates, both Democratic Socialists, endorsed by Mamdani as he seeks to tilt the Democratic Party to the left, won their primary races on Tuesday, in a boost for the party's left wing in America's largest city. Assemblywoman Claire Valdez defeated Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso in the 7th District. Darializa Alvia, I'm sure I'm fucking these up. I'm sure I'm fucking this name up. Avila Chevalier, a doctoral student who has joined pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University, won her race in New York's 13th district. She toppled Andrino Espaillat, who had held the district for 5 terms and is chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, a body that advocates for legislation and resources for Hispanic Americans. Mamdani celebrated her win, describing Chevalier as a person of clarity and conscience and of conviction. Lander, who was also endorsed by Vermont's Democratic Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders, easily beat Goldman by 65.7% to 34.1%, with most votes counted. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to highlight this. There were some other primaries and stuff like that going on. This was the one I kind of saw making a lot of noise. And it's good to see that Mamdani has not just, one, a big effect of becoming mayor, two, having that go all the way into Washington in terms of it seems like he's able to, almost be like a Trump whisperer. But then also the fact that it's like, I feel like people are really feeling and latching on to what Mamdani is talking about, what he's doing, and they're seeing that other people are trying to do the same thing in New York, and they're latching on to that. They are, championing that. They're voting for that. I think that's important. Knock on wood, you would love to see that this is a kind of thing that spreads to other places. That would be definitely a really big, great step in the right direction, in my opinion. But we'll see. Time will tell. But I wanted to count this as a win, highlight that, starting off the episode with some good news. Let's go ahead and move on to our next story from PBS News, talking about that summer heat. Europe swelters under a early heat wave as France records 40 drowning deaths. Millions of people across Europe were exposed to extreme, exceptional high temperatures on Tuesday, with 40 fatalities from drowning recorded in France in the past week, as residents seek relief from searing heat. Temperatures will remain high around the clock in France, the European nation the most affected so far by the early summer heat wave. The National Weather Service, Meteo France, placed 54 departments and about half the country under a red heat wave alert. Italy, Spain, and Britain were also hit. Human-caused climate change is tied to increasingly extreme weather, and UN Climate Agency projections say the next 5 years should shatter more heat records. So yeah, this is a story that's becoming all the more common every year. I feel like I will be listening to the BBC, and they will be saying either in Europe or either in Britain or somewhere in Europe that the heat wave is crazy and that they're doing the most that they can to tackle it, and how things are seemingly changing every year in terms of just the culture of how people are handling that. They're saying this year, a lot of people are scrambling to buy AC units, and establishments are, finally saying, hey, we've gone so long without ever saying, hey, we want to buy into this stuff because obviously it's bad for the environment. We don't want it. It's expensive. But it's we have no other alternative. Essentially, temperatures are pushing around 40 degrees Celsius, which I always get confused when I hear that. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a crazy number. But then you have to convert it into Fahrenheit, which is 100 some odd degrees, I think, like 104 or something to that effect. So it's a sweltering heat wave. And I don't know. I think there are definitely some people in America who might scoff at that, depending on what part of the country you're from. But you have to remember that, like, we really do have AC pretty much everywhere. And we have pretty good protocols for these kind of things. Even so, if you're impoverished, it's definitely hard to get by. I know for me, I kind of, in a sense, have had to acclimate myself to it. And I live in a place that, like, it gets hot, but it doesn't get as crazy as it could. I know the humidity in Cincinnati sucks ass. I think that's part of the reason why, like, even though I can see a temperature in the 80s today, it still feels so fucking hot, or you can get hot so fast. But, definitely in Europe, they're trying to do the best they can to make do, keeping like libraries open. You heard the drowning deaths at the top of the story. Essentially, it's people getting into, what is it? I can't remember the waterways. I want to say the Seine, but I'm sure I'm getting that wrong. But yeah, essentially out, into the waters and cooling off. That's a nice thing, but sometimes things can happen, and the next thing you know, you wind up losing your life trying to, take a dip, just trying to cool off. So that's obviously unfortunate. That's sad. So yeah, and I think definitely maybe the most unfortunate part about this is we've only just begun. It's only going to continue to get hotter and stay at this range year after year. So yeah, I just think that this gets a lot of coverage just because it's a Western, civilization type shit, and it's really hot, and they're like, okay, well, they're kind of at the forefront of that, it seems, and like, what do we do? It's like, if we're not going to do anything about, trying to get the climate lower, the temperature down, bring the temperature down, then yeah, I guess we're just going to keep enduring this shit and just trying to find ways to cope, which, is not good news. It's pretty depressing when you think about that. It's like, we're cooking ourselves alive. But anyway, let's just move on. I don't really have any answers there from my armchair. So yeah, let's get to NBC News. More bad news, bumps in the road. Trump cancels plan to sign major housing bill as he fights with Congress over the SAVE Act. President Donald Trump abruptly canceled his plans to sign a major bipartisan housing bill Wednesday, saying he will not do so until Congress passes the Save America Act, a sweeping elections bill that has become a focal point of his second term. Today's housing news conference and signing is hereby canceled until such time as we pass the desperately needed SAVE Act, which I consider to be a national emergency, he posted on his True Social account. It was not clear whether he still plans to sign the housing bill or veto it. Trump did not address the bill at all in comments to reporters after a meeting with Republican senators on Capitol Hill for lunch. Trump has repeatedly pressed Republicans to pass the Save America Act, which would overhaul elections in all 50 states and add new proof of citizenship and voter ID requirements. Yeah, he keeps trying to push this bill, and Republican senators have told him, we do not have the votes to make that happen. We can't filibuster to make it happen. Like, any kind of indirect way really wouldn't work. And he's like, I don't want to fucking hear that. Make it happen. To the extent of, he's like, you can get rid of the filibuster. I don't care, but make sure I get this shit in. And essentially, at least with Thune, he's like, I'll try, knowing damn well he can't do anything. And then you have Mike Johnson saying like, yeah, I'll keep pushing. I'll keep, advocating for it, trying to whip this thing up. And he just cannot get anywhere. And so Trump is saying, hey, I'm going to hold this bill hostage, essentially this housing bill, until you do what I want. We'll see, but this is literally like the worst case scenario that the Republicans, I feel like, could ask for, because they already reached across the aisle, I feel like, in a way they didn't want to. And they said, okay, let's make this housing bill happen. We don't love it, but, hey, we need a win. And essentially Trump is denying the Republicans this win. And he's saying, give me what I want yet again. And then we can make this all go away. We'll all get what we want. We'll all be happy. So we'll see. I speculate. I'm just kind of guessing here. Obviously, who can get into that beautiful mind that is Donald Trump? I'm guessing, though, he will allow this. He will sign this off. He literally is quoted like, I don't care about this. Like, this is something I don't care about, which is not what you want to hear your president say when it's like, hey, you might be trying to get a house or, something like that. You want to see affordable housing in the future. That your commander in chief just doesn't give a shit about it. But I think he doesn't want any kind of bad press. He doesn't want bad backlash. I think to a certain extent, sure, he doesn't care about that either. But at the end of the day, his ratings are in the fucking pisser. And it's not like he's really showing any W's lately. He's trying to tout this Iran war as a win, which is like, brother, you got us into this. You let BB drag you into this shit. So, like, this isn't a dub. So, like, you would think he's just going to say, hey, let's get this. But he wants it all. You know what I mean? He's not a man who's really willing to compromise. We're not surprised to hear this or see this. But we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. Definitely worth mentioning. But yeah, we're gonna move on to our last story. A bit of a bummer, a bit of a flashback, if you will. But we're gonna close out with Camp Mystic. But yeah, let's. This is from the Associated Press. But let's take our last break, and we will close it out there. All right, from the Associated Press. Camp Mystic files for bankruptcy after catastrophic Texas floods killed 28 people at girls' camp. Camp Mystic filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization on Wednesday, nearly a year after catastrophic floods killed 25 campers and 2 teenage counselors at the Christian camp for girls along the Guadalupe River in Texas. Camp Mystic has been under increasing pressure since the July 4th disaster. Owners had planned to reopen the Texas Hill Country Camp this summer for its 100th anniversary, but reversed course in April amid outrage from victims' families and lawmakers. Victims' families filed lawsuits accusing the camp of failing to protect the girls as the powerful floodwaters approached. Camp Mystic's owner, Richard Eastland, also died in the flood. The camp listed its debt at more than $10 million, according to the filing made in federal bankruptcy court in Houston. An attorney for Camp Mystic has not responded to an email and a phone message seeking comment. Let's see, skipping ahead a little bit. For decades, Camp Mystic was a summer staple and an institution for generations of families who dropped off their girls at the sleepaway camp to ride horses, canoe, fish, and attend Bible studies. Other summer camps in Kerr County, west of Austin, did not take on such devastating flooding and in some cases have reopened. All told, destructive flooding killed at least 136 people along a several-mile stretch of the river, raising questions about how things went so terribly wrong. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the Eastland family spent months determined to reopen the camp this summer, pointing to enhanced safety measures that included flood warning river monitors and putting two-way radios enabled with national weather alerts in every cabin. By the spring, Camp Mystic's attorney said it was ready to reopen for business for nearly 900 campers. But assurances of safety did not convince victims' families and some Texas lawmakers. State regulators found nearly 24 deficiencies in the emergency operations plan submitted by the owners, including in proposals for flood warning, evacuations, and safety training. I wanted to read to this point because up until there, I was like, I feel like that's okay, right? Like, I feel like that makes sense. Yes, this is a really big tragedy. It's sad, but like, it made sense to me in my brain that you would want to reopen. And like, as long as things have been corrected and we made changes, then great. Let's assure that this shouldn't happen again unless there was like some big, floodwater situation. Like, obviously that's an act of God, whatever. That's Mother Nature. You really can't control that. But it's like to see, oh no, there's still a lot of problems here. Maybe you've learned some things, but clearly not enough. Like, there's still big problems here. And you're saying, hey, leave your children here again. It surely won't happen again. But it's like, no. We see at least 24 problems that could lead to a big issue of someone getting hurt or worse. Well, then yeah, no. Like, I definitely, if I'm already shy or scared about sending my kid to Camp Mystic, I would definitely be like, no way, no how. Let's see, read a little bit more. The decision not to reopen followed weeks of testimony and court hearings and legislative investigations that laid bare the camp's lack of detailed planning for a flood emergency and its reliance on poorly trained staff. So yeah, I mean, we'll stop there for today. Once again, definitely unfortunate. It's a tragedy, but I can understand saying, hey, it's a nice idea to want to, come back, and hopefully you would be coming back better, and provide this experience for, kids. But if you're not able to keep them safe, then I understand. It's like, no, that's not the move. That's not what I would want my kid to go to if I had a kid. So anyway, that is it. That is all I have for today. That's going to be the episode on this fine Wednesday. Hopefully you're staying cool. Hopefully you're staying hydrated out there. But yes, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. Rate me on the Spotify or the Apple Podcast. All the stars are appreciated. Thank you. But if you don't do any of that, skip all that mumbo jumbo, that's fine. I really just appreciate you hanging out with me, listening to an episode, maybe another episode. It always means the world. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.